Good afternoon, everyone. BC Richfield here, coming to you live from London. It's just gone a couple of minutes past midday, making it the same time UTC. Huge shout out to our partners and sponsors for this show, as well as very, very good friends of ours over at DYDX. We covered a couple of weeks ago their Megavore, which has just been doing insanely well. Again, a huge shout out to our contest winners there as well. I'm going to show you the exchange in a little while too, because it's been something that I've been doing a lot of work on with the team, or we all have over here at the Bird Nest. Thankfully, people are a lot more technical than I, obviously giving some of the advice as well. But for a UK-based trader, this has been a real big thing for me, because there's been a lot of difficulty getting onto certain exchanges. Certain ones haven't been working so well. You obviously have the decentralized route, the centralized route. And for me, I've just been loving it. So I'm going to show you a couple of bits, because I really like the layout, really like the way that it trades. But we'll do that in a little while anyway. But I do just want to really make a big shout out to those guys, because, you know, they were on with us for our free trading congress event. I thought they spoke exceptionally well, knowing the team as well as we do. You know, like with any industry, you want to get to know the really good players, and these guys just want to really do best by their community, which is what I respect so hugely. So a big shout out and thank you to them for sponsoring the stream. So how are we doing, everyone? Daniel, great to hear from you, my friend. It is another beautiful Monday to look at. Foreign trade cryptos, how are you doing? And Moral as well. Do you know what? Actually, I'm going to start in a way that I normally don't do, right? But a couple of things at the moment. One, we've got really important news, because we've opened up our Discord. All right. So if you want to go over to Crypto Burb's profile, you'll see pinned at the top about the 30-day recovery program. Now, we've opened up 500 spaces, which is the maximum that we can open up. And you get it free for the entirety of March. We've got an entire program that covers the whole period. We're doing everything Monday to Friday, even some bits and pieces over the weekends as well. You're going to get access to the entire trading team. You're going to get access to all of the trading calls. You're going to get access to the courses, the education. Traders like myself, my wonderful trading team over there, legends like Just Pit, Resume, Trading Tank. You're going to get fundamental insights from Chris, Crypto Assessor, obviously, as well as having access to the main man himself, Crypto Burb. All right. Now, I don't think I've ever seen a trader catch more bottoms or call more tops than that guy in a macro sense, certainly. One of the other things that's really important for me, and one of the reasons we launched this program, is to just help people get back on their feet. We got to that stage of the cycle where memes were going crazy, people were throwing money around recklessly, risk management was out the window, loads of shillers turned up, bad actors through Twitter as well as other places. and a lot of people have been hurt by that. So now's the time to consolidate, right? Now's the time to learn. Make sure you don't make those mistakes again, and that's what we're here to do for you. So if you're interested in that, all you have to do is just go over to CryptoBurb's profile. The tweet is pinned at the top of the profile, and you can grab your access. So let's see who else we go. Viconicu, hello from Chile, my friend. Beautiful. Actually, God makes me sound like an alcoholic, but I enjoyed a beautiful Chilean red wine last night. Some of my favorite red wines come from Chile, as well as some of my favorite food as well. But anyway, before I digress too much, I want to get into the show today. I want to keep it a little bit punchy, and I'm actually going to start because I really wanted to show you guys this. All right, now it's not what I normally do, but it's just a little reminder, a gentle nudge, just to understand if you're dealing with professional traders or not. It doesn't mean professional traders are right all the time. What it means is that we do it for a living, and we've done it for a living for a number of years. It's about understanding the market dynamics. It's about understanding risk management, all right? So when a lot of people have kind of been commenting, do you know what, wanted to take the calls towards the bottom, wanted to see the TA, wasn't willing to step in, have been pretty badly hurt by everything that's happened, that's fully understandable. It takes a while to do this. So just want to remind you all as well that you can stay in touch with us all through Twitter as well. Now, this, for example, if we take a look at the post, this was Sunday. And if we go back to the one here on the 28th of Feb, the reason that I'm bringing this up is because today I want to just discuss to you all about planning, about recovery, right? So this was the post that went out on the 28th of February. We were reacting at a weekly gap. We had a 50% retracement on the Fibonacci, right? So rather than just blind bidding at these levels, which some traders do and some do it exceptionally well, like Just Pitt, for example, he has his levels, he understands his support and resistance areas, as well as liquidity so well that he would place bids here. And in fact, we've been long across the board. He's had some magnificent trades, so have the team. Wild, Bitcoin, Ethereum, for example, just to name a few. I think the Wild call is up over 1,200% this morning. But for me, I like a little bit more confirmation. So I want to run over this very quickly with you all this morning in terms of how I look at the market, and have had a lot of messages coming in saying, how did you know price was going to go here, etc. Look, it's not about knowing exactly where it goes. It's about finding the signals that give you confidence that things are starting to turn around. For me, as I put out in this post here, we can clearly see we had the reaction at this level. Now, I didn't want to just step in down here. I like to see inversions of gaps. I like to see order blocks recovered, for example, as we got here. So within the post, you can look, not time to force the issue here on Bitcoin and alts. If we don't get this, we look towards lower levels of support and the Fibonacci golden pocket, all right, based around this. Yeah, on the weekly chart, we had the retracement targeting the 50% level. We had this beautiful big gap here, this inefficiency that the markets love to draw towards. And below that, we had the golden pocket. So all I'm saying to myself is I'm not going to long here because I'm just in the middle of nowhere, right? If I saw a really strong reaction in this gap, fair enough. When we had this momentum coming down, this is the area that was really of interest. So as we've seen that kind of start to play out, obviously, we got the recovery from here. So we started opening long positions from here, holding here. We compound those long positions and then looking to play them forward. So that kind of brings us up to date with where we are right now. Okay, as we can see here. So now what are we looking at? Well, all we're doing, we're just simply still playing this level to level, because if we zoom out over here, right, and obviously you just ignore this, it's insignificant when you look at it, obviously on the weekly scale. Look at the reaction on this candle. It was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let me just get rid of these bits. Right, look at the long downside wick here. And really simply for me, all I'd said was reacting at this gap, we want to see price have a strong reaction here and close back within this range, right? However you were looking to draw this range, for example, you can have it like that. That was the high that basically, supported price all the way through that previous high, 93,236 has been a really key level for us. Price consolidated around here. We basically then had this level, or this level, however you want to look at it, that was capping the market. And price was just ranging around in here. Now, everybody started to lose their minds when price was down here. Now, you need to remember as well, this isn't a criticism of people. We all have different systems and ways to look at the market. But when that body of that candle was that, yeah, it's understandable whilst people started to panic. Now, if you look, for example, at the fear and greed index, we were in extreme fear. It takes a little while to kind of adapt your mindset to understand that those are often the very best buying conditions. What these markets rely on very often are people puking their positions here to create these huge liquidity pools, which means that major buyers can then step in. Does this mean that we can't go any lower? Absolutely not. Could mean that we come back down to take this low. It could mean we go lower. Something that's always where we always need to be a little bit cautious about wicks like this is these abnormally long wicks often get filled a little bit. So we watch the 50%. However, we need to understand that we are in a very news-driven market, all right? A lot of this recovery, I believe personally, as do other analysts that I know and who I respect greatly, was the idea that, you know, Trump's announcement that they're adding, obviously Bitcoin, but they're looking to add Solana, XRP, etc., you know, and a few other alts to the Federal Reserve. Okay, so yeah, I mean, that's huge news for crypto, right? It basically says that the US government is going to be holding large amounts of cryptocurrency. Now, when you hear that, yes, it's exciting. But do you realize that this whole thing was probably because of that? Don't you find it funny that price was kind of dropped just an exceptional, even from these bodies in here, if we take the day before, that price came back down just on Bitcoin, you know, almost 19%. So those smart or people that have the ability to manipulate the media, you know, make everybody believe that this thing's going to zero. Everybody sheds those positions. Why? Because they want to buy it in such large amounts down here, and then price recovers, right? Now, that's how the markets work. It works across all markets. None are more susceptible to this than cryptocurrency, because as much as it's a lot of money for the average person, for me, for you, for probably everybody on this show, right? We're talking about, you know, multiple billions and sometimes trillions of dollars of you know, liquidity being applied to these markets in the right areas, right? So we've had this really big recovery. We're basically now back in this range. All right, so if we, for example, on the weekly scale, you know, if we took out and we look at the volume profile, yeah, if we take our kind of pseudo range off here and we look at the value area high and low, yeah, deviation price steps back in. Look how the value area high completely and utterly capped that area. Value area low here has done exactly the same, and now we're back in the range. So things really could be back on here, right? You know, we look at this on a daily scale, it's starting to look really good. However, we just don't want to get carried away, all right? Now, we've got the value area low here. I think one of the key things, I'd love to have my good friend Razun on the show with us today, right? He's going to be back on. By the way, for members, if you want to sign up for the free month of March, right, make sure you get in there. Razun and I host a show on Wednesday, and he's got a magnificent way of looking at things like TPO, volume profile. So we kind of put our heads together on these. But this, for me, is just a really exciting recovery here. Yeah, we've inverted this gap here on a daily scale. Now we are reacting at this higher gap. So fine. Also makes sense, doesn't it? If we kind of put ourselves back a little bit here, let's just pop that off for a second. Now, something I'm always looking at are really key areas of absorption, right? So if we look at all these downside wicks and you just try and kind of cover the majority of them, just for a kind of localized area, right? This was really, really strong support. Prices, no matter how much it tried, right? Price couldn't get forced down below this. We're basically caught in a very, you know, basically a lower range here, range high here, range low. When price did break down, right, there's an expectation now that this is probably going to offer a fairly key area of resistance, right? So we want to see price back above this and then ultimately starting to push up. By the way, Sonda, Aussie, Nick, hello guys, great to have you all with us, as well as the other 1,800 people we got tuned in live with us at the moment. Apologies if I can't see your comments, and sometimes they don't come through to me here in the studio. It's because of the Twitter and YouTube. I see most of the YouTube comments, but if you have, say good morning, very good morning to you all. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. So where does it leave us? Well, like I said, for me, it's just really simple. You know, you want to be buying at these areas where you can see key support, right? Or where actually the market starts to get exhausted. So that's why we target old highs to short, old highs to short, sorry, and old lows to long. So what I'm now looking at is for further confirmation. So as we zoom in here on a daily scale, we know we've got this resistance overhead at the moment. What else have we got stacked above as well? Quite simply, here on Bitcoin, we've got this bearish gap, all right? I'm just going to do this in red so it symbolizes that. We're going to put a D in there to show that it's daily. Now, while we've had this just amazing reaction here, the one thing that we need to be a little bit skeptical about is obviously the bounce. The major catalyst for this was a news-based event. So that's where we want to be just a little bit cautious, all right? So I've got a couple of thoughts. I've got thoughts on Bitcoin and some on XRP. And I just really want to show you guys the interface over here at DYDX. They've done so much work and I think it's so cool. It's so slick. Let me just share with you, because I can give you my thoughts on what I've been kind of looking at here, all right? So look, all you have to do, just connect your wallet. It's very, very, very simple. Obviously, for privacy reasons, I'm not going to do that. No offense to anybody here. But, it could be anybody in the audience here. And there's a lot of people a lot smarter than me when it comes to understanding wallet addresses and hacking and stuff like that. So for the sake of safety, we're just here completely unlogged in. All you would need to do is just go through to DYDX, takes you straight through onto the trade. And then you just connect your wallet and boom, you're ready to go. This is what I'm looking for here. This is just so beautifully clean here on Bitcoin, all right? So as we look at this here, what was I looking for originally? Exactly the same analysis that I've been discussing with you, right? I want to see a sweep. I want to see these key levels taken. And we can see down here, that's exactly what we got. Yeah, price reacted to this weekly gap, as we discussed previously. Price came in. Then I want to see an inversion. Right, what's an inversion? That's where we have a bearish gap like this one that's highlighted here. To be honest, I trade black and white charts because many years ago, especially when I went, when I was a swing trader, I suffered quite badly with anxiety in the markets. I didn't like having these positions opened. I always thought that I had ADHD, and then when I was diagnosed with it and started to have to manage it, I realized that it wasn't the really best pursuit for me because I was suffering so badly having these positions open for such a long period of time. Someone, for example, like Adrian Cryptoberg, who trades these positions out for days and months and weeks sometimes, but he is just one of the calmest, most chilled, laid-back guys that you can meet, and he manages that so well. I'm a little bit opposite to that, so I'm, a little bit more up. So I started moving away from these kind of color charts and onto black and white to find it really calming. But I have to say, I'm really starting to fall in love with all these really cool, funky colors again. A really, really good guy in this space, and someone that's becoming a fast friend of mine, Follis, would probably love playing around with these kind of things. He's getting me into some like melodic techno and bits and pieces like that. So often thoughts of that. But anyway, the key thing is obviously what's happening here. Now, as we look down this line here, we can see a lot of these untapped highs and these minimal inefficiencies, meaning these small gaps, right? Now, when price is trending, what I'm looking for is, if we're in a downtrend, I'm looking for these up close candles, meaning the green candles, the bullish candles. When they're closed below, I'm looking for those areas to be retested, or for price ultimately on a lower time frame, to close below here and then sell off, right? And then very similar with this, when price closed below this one here, we then got a further sell off, etc., etc. All right, close below here, sells off, until you start to see these dynamics change. All right. So then when we sold off here, look, bearish gaps being respected, bearish order blocks being respected until they're not. Bearish gap, big strong close with a lot of momentum. It tells me that the market is reaching for liquidity higher. So when I look for that, I'm looking for gaps or I'm looking for highs. So then what I'm looking for price to do is, once we close above here, is to make its way to the next liquidity. I then want to see how that closes. So when we got that beautiful strong close above that, let me just minimize this for a moment so it doesn't look too obtrusive and you guys can see the wicks a bit better, right? Price had this lovely close above here. Yeah, now long upside wick, long downside wick, bit of a doji, right? But we had failed to take these flat highs over here. So that's why we expect expansion. So now what does that mean? Well, it just simply means that what we're looking at here is continuation. We've had this nice expansion. We're now within this 4-hour gap. As long as we continue to hold this gap, this is where I'm looking for long setups, all right? One of the other things we can look for with this are areas of mitigation, okay? So when we're looking for areas of mitigation, what I'm looking for are key areas, so these order blocks, for example, or gaps that were the catalyst or the origin of the move that forced price down lower. So this one, for example, is where price is at the moment. So what do I want to see? Well, I'm actually just going to draw this in for a second and draw this across, because this, in its prime, if you like, if you want to call it that, was a bearish order block. So when price engages with this, right? Or for example, let me give you another example here. Yeah. So this example. With this bearish order block, what happens when price comes up into its range? You look at that getting a rejection and price selling off, okay? When you see price disrespect these areas, you know, we'd expect some kind of resistance here, right? You'd expect some kind of resistance at this high as well, because you're thinking, look, flat highs here, this is where the stop losses are. When that candle gives that little of a care for, you know, areas that there was strong selling before, or areas we expect strong liquidity to reverse the market, it gives us an indication that price is then looking to move higher. So we call these our areas of mitigation. All right. Now, while price creates and holds in a bullish nature around here, let me show you this on 15 minute. Then quite simply, just looking to step back into the market when you get moves like this. Yeah. You see price sweep and take out a low. You're looking for that high that sweeps the low, for example, here. All right, and then you're looking for these continuation patterns to drive them higher. But this all based on the idea that we're within this 4-hour bullish gap, right? That we've mitigated this previous area that was acting as resistance. So for me now, I'm looking, you know, to still play bullish setups here. What would make me change my mind? Well, quite simply, if we move back to our 4-hour chart, you know, another thing I love about this is just always having this eye on the order book here. Okay, you can really start to see, right, when things start to get overwhelmed. Okay, and you can see the trades list here as well. So it just gives you that little bit of extra incentive, right? You do your charting on TradingView, then when you get on here, you transfer that charting across in a very similar way. You've stripped away all the noise, and then you're just using those little elements. So ultimately, you kind of just gain a little bit of edge, all right? Now, as we're looking here, if we close back below this gap, right, inverting it like we did on this, then there's an opposite situation. I expect price to be pushing lower. But while we're holding that, I'm continuing to look up. Now, the next one I wanted to take a look at with you guys was XRP. All right. So again, let's take a look at this over. Let's take a look at this with our friends over at DYDX, right? Because I really, again, I was just kind of, this is the key area for me up here. We had all these kind of sloped highs, right? So you've got untapped liquidity, untapped liquidity, untapped liquidity, untapped liquidity, all the way up to this. So this ultimately is my target up here at the moment on XRP, which is $3.39.95, right? Now this on the 4-hour here, yeah, the reason that I got this bit more zoomed out for you guys is so you can see the targeting over here. Now again, look, we had exactly the same situation down here. Price is selling off, holding the bullish candles here. Then we see this turnaround here, right? So we get our inversion gap. You see these as purple on my charts, all right? So do these as a slightly brighter one for you here. Now, close above this here, we look for this area to offer support. When it closes through with a bullish gap as well, we get what's known as a balanced price range. So then, remember, on the way up, all we're looking for is saying, where's price most likely to reach here? We got all these beautiful sloped highs in here, yeah? Their liquidity target, untapped swing high, untapped swing high. So we add this as a real kind of key point for where we believe price is reaching for. Let me just tone this down a minute as well. There we go. Oh. Just so that you guys can kind of better see the gaps, right? Now, as price is dipping into this area here, we're looking for price to retrace, and we're asking for price in here to give us a reason now to re-long this. So this is where we need to see our setups, whether we're looking for M15, M5, structure breaks, inversions, order blocks, expansions, etc. Whatever those triggers are, while we're in this green box, that's what I'm looking for. Now, we've had a big expansion here, right, on XRP especially, right? So, you know, if we just take our Fibonacci, for example, track that from low to high, right? And I'm going to go on here. And then remember, when you go on the Fibonacci, you can look on here and you can add in all these different levels. If there's not one on there that you want to see, yeah, like you want to go on there and find the 0.618, yeah, then you can add that in and you can just change it on there to whatever you want, all right? However, you can just use the standardized one. Just looking at this here, and my focus mainly is on this 50% area. I'd really love to see price dip into this. However, we've had a pretty nice reaction here at the gap. So if I wanted to get more confirmation here, what could I do? Well, I could follow the same instructions as what we did down here. Now we've created this bearish gap above us, right? Let's just do that in red for a second. And following exactly the same principles that had us long from down here and have us holding really, really nice long positions at the moment, especially when a lot of the market was short here. That's another thing to say, right? When a lot of people are really starting to short, start looking at what makes the argument for the other side of the bid, all right? For the other side of the trade, which in this case would be the bid. So while we're down in here, I can say to myself, well, I can either position myself for longs here or look at a lower time frame to step in, or I can wait for the price to close above this gap, inverting it, right? What happens when it inverts it? Well, like we said, we get that inversion gap here, meaning this area then looks to hold as support. So we close above it, we look for price to draw back, and then we look to go long. If we remember what we were looking at, you guys can go and see the post on my Twitter profile. It's exactly the same principle. Now, obviously, we can use tools like we have here on DYDX as well. We can look at the order book, we can look at the trades. The other thing I would say at the moment, also funding rate, right? Always make sure you're checking out the funding rate. Who's being incentivized in the market? You being incentivized to go long, short, etc. You know, make sure you plug those factors in, but don't try and do everything. Just find something that works for you, something that you can test, find a proven strategy, sit the hell back, get the hell out of your own way and just trade it, right? That's what the very best traders do. That's what we do when we headhunt the very best traders for the bird nest. That's how we came across, you know, exceptional traders like Just Pit, for example, which hardly any of you guys probably know about at the moment, but just such an incredible price action traders. How we've got people like Razoon, who's incredible with the knowledge of volume and liquidity, right, and market transitions and dynamics. That's how we've got people like the Trading Tank Jay, who, you know, was made multi millions off of hype, right? Not only an exceptional price action trader, understood the airdrop dynamics. You know, members made absolute small fortunes with that as well. So again, you get access to all this knowledge. So don't forget to come across and join us and make the most of it at the moment while you've got the free access. I think there's probably, I don't know, we only opened it up yesterday, I think, and I think the first 120 spots went. I don't know. I need to get a confirmation on that. But there's still spaces left, right? So do go on there. You can find the post at the top of Crypto Burb's profile. Good morning, Jesse. How are we doing, my friend? Anyway, so look, that's me. That's where I am. I'm really happy with the levels we're at here. Really happy with XRP. Really happy with the Bitcoin trade that we got on right from the bottom at the moment. It's about 22 are up. So the rest of this is about you lot. What do you want to see? What is it that's getting to you while you're kind of looking at it? I want to know what alts you want me to cover, right? We've got, say, 15 minutes left in the show, 20 at the most. Tell me what you want me to take a look at, and I will happily oblige. I will get as many of them done as I can in the next 20 minutes. We will have a charting session just to finish up here on Bitcoin on the daily. Now's the time just for a little bit of caution. Markets run hot. We're at a key resistance level here. I wouldn't be longing into this right now. Like I said, we're looking for those pullbacks. We go to our 4 hour here. We know what we're looking for. We want to see this. We want to see this fight its way through. But the other thing we can do, guys, as well, don't forget about your order blocks, yeah? So remember, like I said to you, if we're looking for the up close candles, that's singular or consecutive. I take them from the flat of the body for bearish, or the top of the body, flat again for bullish. So where did we change these? This was massive, right? This was our 4 hour order block. That was our change in state of delivery after a gap inversion, which just told us to just get long, right? Why did that tell us to get long? Because this should be rejecting price here. Price set a bullish order block here, an inversion here with a bullish gap here, telling me that this is starting to break away. And what I'm doing now is I'm looking towards the top of this consolidation here, almost, at least this kind of big area here, the price kind of chopping around in for price to draw back to. But this is where I want to be long from. But if you're looking for continuation plays, right? And sorry, that should obviously be 4 hours. Let me just adjust that. Click the wrong one. Yeah. Price closed above here, long from here, right? So you can find the exact advice for that down on my Twitter profile, right? Price closed above here, long from here, also long from this gap, all right? Price has now closed above these here, right? We can see we got this big breakaway, so what do we target? Well, we look for the bullish gap, okay? We're just trading that until it breaks. Yeah, you don't want to try and second guess this market. Ultimately, I highlighted this area up here as a key place to take profit, because on a daily scale, we're drawing into a large bearish gap, and we know that this area offered a lot of support for price for a long time. It was the range low. So we just want to be a little bit careful there, right? But again, we can look to this here and say, if we want some more confirmation, if price is willing to close above this these down close candles, after reacting at a bullish gap, it makes this a higher probability order block, meaning that if we get the close above this, this we can start to take some higher risk positions. But really what we want to see is price closing above these areas, and then climbing back in this range, meaning that we can then start targeting these kind of key pivot points here, where price was flipping from resistance to support. For example, if you look at this kind of consolidation here, I think you kind of draw this across. It's not the cleanest in the world, but actually that definitely an area of interest for me. Why? Because big consolidation led to a massive sell-off. Price got above here, found support, deviation back above, retest, sold off, and then saw key resistance here that was actually kind of the secondary origin of that major breakdown here. So all of a sudden we've got a plan. Get back above this level, then we know where the key liquidity rests and we can go back above. So a little bit late to be stepping into long positions here on Bitcoin, right? But ultimately, we just want to understand what our plan is moving forward. So all about you legends now, right? So let's take a look at what we've got. Actually, something I'm going to be selfish, actually, something I really want to start with, and I've been going on to you guys about this for quite a while. I'm not going to be a knob about it, but ADS, right? Look at these quality. See, look, this is what you come to the show for, right? Our squiggles of this nature, yeah? Look, where do you see high quality squiggles better than that? All right. So quite simply, as we said, not looking to long this token at the moment until we get back above here. But what we are looking for is this nice deviation of this level. So now, I added up. I've added more ADS here. I was very open about it, very honest with you guys. Always am. I'd added more here as well. I've held through all of this. I plan to add more here if we get down there. I'm not sure we're going to be that lucky. That was the key consolidation here that led to that pump. We look back to here as well, the consolidation that led to all of these major moves. This one, this through here, this massive pop, this massive pop. So I am definitely buying, or I'm definitely adding a lot more down here. That's not financial advice. My plan is really clear to see on here. We had this breakout. I wanted to see this area hold. We haven't, which is fine. I'm buying more down here. But if we recover this level now and get up to here, then I think we're absolutely going to rip, right? A lot of people don't know this, but you've got kind of a 250 million supply of ADS to token, right? 236 million of that is already in circulation, and 60% of that is staked. Gee, that is such a healthy structure to build on with that. And I think, look, the reason I've been going on about this to you guys for ages, you'll notice I'm really not pushy with many tokens. So I'm not trying to push this on you, but I come from a business background, right? I look at companies, I look at cryptocurrency very different to most people, all right? I'm always looking for the business case. Are they making major partnerships? What's their turnover? What's their revenue? What is the cycle looking like for them? Are they completely and utterly linked to Bitcoin? Do they have that opportunity for mass adoption for big companies? And just, these guys are working with huge companies, Google, Amazon, Samsung, I think, Coca-Cola, for Christ's sake, right? And it's just mental. We're seeing a $32.9 million market cap. The industry is $600 billion in the ad market industry. This is one of the ripest industries in the world for disruption. How do I know about that, or how do I have any inside knowledge of that aside from crypto? Because I built and sold a multi-million-pound digital marketing company, all right, that still exists today and works with some massive companies. So believe me when I tell you there's opportunity in here. So keep an eye on that. Please do your own research, understand what it is. But for me, I was a very happy buyer here. I'll be an even happier buyer down here. But I think we can recover this level pretty quickly here. And when we do, I think this thing's going to really, really rock it. All right. So let's keep an eye on that one. I'll try and keep you guys updated as we go through it as well. but a really good play for me. Really love the company. The industry's ripe for disruption. It's something I understand as well. And it's something that I understand why massive companies like Coca-Cola, Samsung, Amazon, Google, etc. are working with the guys over there at Alchemy. All right. So keep your research on the company, find out what they're going on, find out how they're progressing, but also don't sleep on the ADS token. Okay. And that's nothing from me. I'm personally invested in it, right? Nobody nobody needs to follow my advice at all, right? But this is one I'm really excited about at the moment, along with the AI narrative, okay? So I'm going to bring you some more of those on Wednesday, by the way. We've got the fundamental team, the technical team. Everybody's really deep in that at the moment, and we're going to take a look. So, bang, 15 minutes now, and then we're going to call it a day, and I'm going to run through all of these that will, very polite of you, my friend. We will certainly cover Solana. In fact, we're going to do that next for you. Whoa, Ludwig, mate, how are you doing? Let's have a look. PENDLA. Yeah, Aptos. BNB. Sol. All right, legends. Let's absolutely go. Let's take a look at Sol. Here we are, right? So Sol analysis, using the same charts we use every week, right? Just allows us to make sure that we're keeping it. I'm keeping account of myself and what I'm obviously saying to you guys, right? For any of you that maybe aren't members over at the Nest, so don't get necessarily those kind of daily and updates. Really simple. This is highlighted because this is kind of the area of interest for us at the moment. All right, this was the down move that led to the large expansion. We can see strong moves from here, and this is what we're looking again here. Now, we always, as traders, we need to weigh both sides of every argument, all right? Got a key pivot point here. This was key resistance. We had several weeks of consolidation underneath it before price closed above. And then what? Support, large move, support, large move, support, large move, support, large move. Dipped into this. Very surprised that it didn't take that low, by the way, here, which again is a sign that we're seeing extreme strength. It's almost like some kind of divergence through here. In fact, where's our good old B Pro? It might even tell us if we'd snuck one in there. Hang on. Let me just get rid of the trailer for a moment, although these trailers are just magical. I'll leave that on for a second, actually, so I can show you what we're looking at. And I just want to turn on the divergence system here as well. All right, and then get our labels on, but our lines off. Beautiful, right? So this is B Pro. This is our in-house indicator. By the way, sorry, I forgot to mention this earlier. This is, you get access to this as well, right? Your membership covers this. Now, on a week, it's going to show you on the daily, which is one of my favorite timeframes to use this on. But let me just overlay this quickly to give you an idea of the TA, and then we'll cover it with both across the board, right? So within here, this was the origin of a really large move higher, right? So I want to be a player from here, yeah, especially if we take this low. Or I want to see price hold this low here and then for us to start to move, all right, because we've taken that swing low there. So on a daily, let's see what we were looking at. Quite simply, we're saying if we break down from here, yeah, then we're looking to come down to this box. So imagine this before price action was there. This is what we were looking for, right? Now, obviously, price doesn't always move in the same way. You look at this on a lower time frame. We actually had a really aggressive drop here, but ultimately we came down to our key area of interest, right? So what do we do when we get down here? Are we shorting into this? Of course we're bloody not. The most ridiculous place to short is into support, right? This is where you need to be a buyer, and this is where you need to change your mindset, all right? It's such a difficult thing to do, but it always makes me think back to kind of traditional market days and seeing this absolute monster in a bullpen, these guys were trading, hundreds of millions and billions, right? And I just never ever forget, just seared into my head forever. This just monster of a guy just screaming at this new trader, this new floor trader, just calling him every word under the sun, because basically he was buying as the market was rocketing and thought he was just doing a really good job, just going mad, just buying every share he could under the sun just because the market was going up and it was pumping. And this guy just looked like he was about to just run over and just headbutt him. And I mean, he literally just reduced this guy to tears. And it sounds really brutal, but it's not. And the thing that he was screaming at him, I'll obviously remove the swear words, is you buy it when there's blood in the water, not when there's euphoria in the air. You buy it when there's effing blood, right? That means, as dramatic as it sounds, it's right. It means that you don't want to sell here when this is happening. You're already into the cascade, right? That's what the major players are relying on you doing, right? You want to be selling when everybody else is doing this, when there's mass euphoria. Because if you're wrong here, yeah, you sell when you're up here. Why do you sell? Well, where do you sell from, BC? Well, you sell from here. You sell from these clear, obvious points, right? Where there's liquidity. Price can't get above it. Look at the wicks, right? So what happens then? Well, all you say is, even if you're a seller here, where's you just targeting this move? Where's that place that price could react here, right? We've got this bullish gap, right? So you've got price coming up here. So you're a seller here. You sell down to here. If you're wrong, yeah, you're wrong above here. But when you're selling up here, you can mitigate your position there. You've made some money, even if you get stopped out, or you then wait for confirmation. Price closes below that level there, and you say, okay, there's the inversion. What else do I have to go on? Okay, well, there's a big bearish gap as well, right? So what's the market telling you that we're doing here? Here's your bearish order block as well. Market's just telling you it wants to push lower. Well, where's it most likely to push to? You know, these clear and obvious lows, okay? So just remember, that's why the best traders are buying at these lows, right? It's not about, people don't, you know, people talk absolute nonsense when they're talking about selling tops and buying bottoms. It's not about that, right? With conviction, you just know where the buyers were before, yeah? And then you know where to be cautious. So anyway, right, just, you know, always a good story to kind of to absorb onto that, because it's a very difficult thing to get used to, right? Because there's panic, there's negative sentiment, everyone's all over Twitter, I've lost this, I've done that, oh help me please, blah blah. And I'm not taking the piss out of these people, I'm not. I've been there where I worked for a company and on a professional trading team at a licensed brokerage, who the owner scammed the entire trading team out of several million. Me personally, I lost 6.5 Bitcoin and about $48,000 in cash. All right, that's just one of many of those kind of situations that's happened in the past. It's a very, very difficult industry. I understand you are hurting out there. I understand people are hurting, but I'm telling you right now, this is the time to look at what went wrong, put risk measures in place, understand what you did, use opportunities like we're offering at the moment over at the Bird Nest to come along. Just gobble up all the free education that you can, get involved, learn from professional traders, and make sure it doesn't bloody happen to you again, all right? Your destiny ultimately is in your hands, and you can change this. Anybody can, right? For Christ's sake, I used to build and sell businesses for a living. I completely taught myself crypto and actually, well, traditional market trading from the ground up, found very good mentors, found paid groups, and just ground my life away for like 5-6 years before I really kind of got into the fray that I could do this consistently for a living. Anyway, this area here, as we were looking at, price gets underneath this. This was the low. Price sold off. When we revisit these key lows, and I learned this from a guy called Tom Dante, Trader Dante, magnificent price action trader, never been called the C word. You'll never be called the C word more in your life, but very, very much within his rights to do so. He's got the track record to prove it. Now, you know, Tom would probably look at this level here, I would think, right, as that being the actual last low, but he would look at it on a lower time frame. For me, looking at these swing points, when you get these strong moves below it in a bit of time, price isn't selling off here when we react to this. It's a really good sign. Now, when we look a little bit closer here as well, we can also see that we've got that beautiful gap inversion. So what are we looking at here at the moment on Solana? Quite simply, we're back in this area where we want to be buyers. That's good news, all right? What else are we looking at here? Well, we're looking at a couple of things. We're within this inversion, so while we hold this inversion, that's good news. And we also set this order block here, all right, which is on a daily scale. So again, I don't really want to see price coming much more into like closing in more than 50%, which is roughly where this low is here. Whack, how you doing, brother? Which is around here, all right? So this is what we're looking at. So hold this, get back above this level, and I think we're off with Solana. So let's decant that a little bit lower. God, these squiggles look their absolute best when we're on the lower time frames, don't they, right? So again, ignore the blue box, just means that we're in an area where it can be good to be bullish, all right, because we're looking for this to be the deviation and for price to step in. On the 4 hour, we've had this beautiful liquidity grab, we've had this inversion, price has reacted from this bullish gap, we're delivering beautifully bullish market structure, all right? So I'm looking for the low to the high of this. Yeah, and price has just reacted beautifully at the 50% here. Now, ideally, I'd like this lower gap here on ETH, all right? But again, very similar on ETH, sorry, on SOL. But similar to what we saw before, if I want extra confirmation, because if the market's getting ready to run hot, then I want to see price close above this bearish gap here. If we get a close above this bearish gap, invert that, I think price is going to go early. And then we're looking to step back into the longs. Oi, oi, Savaloy, how are we doing, Gordon? Jem from Bedford, how are you doing, my friend? So that's where we are on Sol. Let's rip through the others quickly. Pendle, P-E-N-D, LE, wasn't it? Pendle, here we go. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, daily on Pendle. For me, immediately, really, really clear. This weirds me out a little bit because that low there, these are often, really key liquidity targets. Looks like it's kind of coming back from it. We also have equal lows here, which I expect to get taken. So the equal lows would be my shorting target here. We haven't really seen that resurgence on here like we have with some others. And we very much have this bearish gap above us, okay? So for me, I'm looking for this bearish gap to be inverted, meaning price closing above it, and then I think we can make a very aggressive attack on these highs. Nothing really to reject price till we get to this inefficiency. Of course, it can reject at any of these highs, but typically as price starts to move, that's what we're looking for. Close above, move higher. If not at the moment, I'm favoring a move down to here, and I'm especially favoring a move down to here if the daily closes below this up close candle, because that would give us a daily order block. If we got that close there, then I'm short down to these lows. What I want to see at these lows is price have a really nice V-shaped recovery that quite quickly takes us above here, and then we look for longs. All right, so either that or price closes above here and we move higher. If we're looking for an early move towards that, well, actually this gave us a little bit of an indication, didn't it? Here we got the gap inversion. So now, quite simply, this should suppress price. Yeah, bullish gap, price closed below it here, meaning we're looking to sell off to this low first and then these equal lows down here. If we get back above this gap inversion, it's a bit dangerous because within a higher time frame daily gap, but I think price could push up from here. So if you're an aggressive player, I would look for price to close above here, especially if we don't take this low because it will show a lot of strength. Then I think we can move pretty nicely on that. If not, let's look at how we react to these equal lows first. Aptos. Let's have a look at Aptos, shall we? Let's take a look at... Why not? Not tons of liquidity kicking around on this. Obviously a little bit illiquid, but not bad. We can just about get something in on here. There's our inversion. This is our next target. Yeah, God, that's simple actually, that one. Lovely little sweep from the lows. Would have again looked for that to be taken. We've seen it again, these news catalysts. Always good to trade into the strength as well. If an asset's kind of hanging back, don't think, oh, I'll trade that because it will catch up. Often you're better stepping into the stronger assets, the same way that people try and short the strongest assets at the top, when actually what you want to find are the laggards, right? The laggards who are already weak. Now, we've got this gap high here. It's a high that's rebalanced this gap, making it a great liquidity pool. I'm looking for reactions here to go temporarily short because from this gap here as well, I'd want to see these gaps inverted. Yeah, this up move here led to a large sell-off. So price getting back above this area here, which, closes above about 7.86. I'm really kind of interested in longing this at the moment. Just want to kind of see this area hold. We've got a bit of volume imbalance down here as well. I think we could possibly look for a retest of this order block. Okay, so let's just put that in there as well. Order block on the daily, close above. Price hasn't quite retested this yet. You want to see this area hold. Yeah, and then on the lower time frames here, you want to see something like this. Price kind of sweep out a level, get that nice aggressive move back above it. All right, so reacting, say, for example, that order block there. This is obviously on a lower time frame. You're going to see something like that. Sweep, get back above, nice sharp reaction, shift structure, and then trading up into those highs over there. Close below this gap, this low, and then become our next targets on Aptos. All right. What have I written there? B&B. Jesus. Let's see where we are on B&B, right? Oh. Let's get rid of these for a minute. Obviously doing some test lines, work, for example. So where are we? B&B, actually, let's just get rid of this, right? Nice clean chart. Where are we here? B&B. So bearish gap to contend with here on the daily. So we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves at the moment. We had a little bit of excitement here with a very small, not really, change in state of delivery. So we need to see price above this black line here to set the daily order block. What do I like about price action at the moment is that it's inverted that, got back above it. So that's not overly clean. We've had a little local sweep here, which is okay. I would be worried again, like on a lot of alts, about this low down here, but ultimately dipping into a low time frame level. Really simple here on BNB. Close above this, inverting that gap, and I think price is going to run pretty quickly around kind of 731 region. Okay, 4 hour again is always going to be a little bit more treacherous. We've seen the initial rejection here, so we need to see price hold this gap here. Yeah, bullish gap, which it's doing at the moment. If it's going to fight an early stage recovery, we want to see that step in and come into play, and also this beautiful inversion here that's also supporting price. The 4 hour looks quite good from here. Want to see some strength starting to build some market structure on the lower time frames. If we start closing below this here, then I think, ultimately we can't really be taking any shorts till we get below this, because there's also a bullish gap to consider here. But this looks like a good early stage recovery here from BNB. But again, we want to start seeing some strength back into this level, telling us that this is an initial rejection, because ultimately, if this was, the main rejection here, price typically when it rejects, does this. Yeah. What it very rarely does is rejects, comes back to reject again, and then goes away. And you might say, oh yeah, but that's how double tops are formed and stuff. Yeah, and swing failures, etc. But not typically when you're trending. All right, you might see those the extremes of the range, but not often in the middle. So price above there on the daily for the safe bets, or we have the plan on the 4 hour, which is holding these levels and looking for price to kind of move up. We do have a very, very small gap here. So let's see that inverted, and then I think we can also have a secondary point of confirmation there as well. And let's close up by looking at Sonic, which I think we're going to have to look here on the daily. Yeah, wow, okay, not sure. Hang on, let me see if we've maybe got this. Just trying to see when we might get that with a little bit more data. Not on the premium index. Let's have a look. Maybe on this. That is very odd. Have you got a ticker for this one? Hug a bear, my friend. FTM. So many fucking tickers, isn't there now, unfortunately. There we go. So let's take a look at Phantom, right? So Phantom is kind of a mixed bag here at the moment. Actually, I was looking at this the other day. So we've got this, just do it for the sake so you understand it. Bullish gap here. A little bit of a scam wick down there. So I think this for me is more the origin of the move. If we look at that, we've dipped down below the 0.5 level. Now I like that. Failed to quite tweak into the golden pocket. Would look there if we moved a bit lower. Key thing is I really want to kind of see this area hold here. Now we've kind of got, that dip below the 0.5. If this is going to show strength moving forward, once again, we can highlight the gap above, which is obviously currently bearish. We want to see that closed above. Yeah. In doing so, as long as we close this as a bearish candle, we could also set kind of a change in state of delivery here. But ultimately on the daily, I want to see price above this. Yeah. On the 4 hour, if we're looking for that slightly earlier resurgence, price has got a little bit of an uphill battle here because we just inverted this gap, right? So now this should offer resistance. So what happens when an area that should offer resistance doesn't, or quite simply, this is what we expect. If we get this, we close above it, then we look for this to offer support, and then we just trade this level to level like that, right? It looks really simple when you do it by lines, doesn't it? Obviously, it will look a bit more jagged than that. Something that we want to look at here, right? Let's just see. We've got the bullish gap down here that remains untested. So that's a nice big target here. So ideal world, what could we see here? I think we could see price move down into this. If we hold this and we get a strong reaction back above here, especially inverting this gap here, yeah, because we've got that bearish gap there now as well. Look for that to hold and that to be the catalyst to send us higher, all right? So on the 4 hour, that would be the aggressive play in there for me. All right, guys. No, exactly. I don't think it's got that much. I don't think it's got that much over there, mate. And yeah, do come and join us, Hugger Bear. If you haven't had the opportunity yet, guys, do come and join us over at the Bird Nest. Like I say, just get yourself onto Crypto Bird's profile. We're running this all the way through March. You won't get charged a penny. There's no rollover subscription, blah, 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 blah. We're not here to trap anyone. We are a paid group of professional traders that provide probably the very best service in this space. And we're certainly one of the oldest around since 2017. We're led by Crypto Burb, who's a chartered market technician, level 3. Very few of them in the world, even less of them across Europe. We have a professional trading team of 5 traders who do this for a living. So please do come along and join us. All right, guys, we're going to have to call it a day there, I'm afraid. So apologies if you have asked for any tokens that we haven't covered. Hopefully we've covered most of them. Do please remember to trade safe as well. One last thing I just want to share with you guys is the economic calendar. Okay, so as we're looking at this here, we can see we're now in March. Let me share this with you. And what are we looking for here? Well, quite simply, I'm focused on the red folder news here as well. Now, as we're looking down here, what have we got today? So we're now the 3rd of March. So ISM manufacturing PMI hitting the market today in the United States. That's red folder news, worth keeping an eye on. All right, so is this. All right, so you have the JPY. All right, so this is about the yen. So we want to keep our eyes on what's happening there, especially if you're involved in Forex markets. I appreciate you guys aren't. So for crypto, especially Wednesday, we have ADP non-farm employment change, all right, and ISM services PMI. Unemployment claims hitting the press on Thursday. And Friday, we've got average hourly earnings month on month. We've got non-farm employment change, unemployment rate, and then Fed Chair Powell speaking. All right, so we have a nice week of injected volatility coming into the markets. All right, so do come and grab us. If you've got anything else, I will be live with you all again on Wednesday at midday, so we'll take a look at the charts again then and review everything that we've got. Do have a fantastic week ahead, everyone. I look forward to catching even more of you around the nest.